Hello and welcome to another episode of The Man from Hildebrand. It's been 2 weeks since I last did an episode on the sort of my take on the direction on where the literature side of Bond should go. So this is a bit of a recap of sort of the news that we received in the past 2 weeks. So the first biggest news was, of course, the director of Bond 26 has now been confirmed, and it is none other than Mr. Denis Villeneuve. Whether or not that's how you pronounce it, I'm not too sure. Now, of course, Denis Villeneuve, his name has been connected to Bond as far as back as No Time to Die. After Danny Boyle had left, I think his name was in the running, or it might even before Boyle was confirmed, his name was in the running. But he kind of sort of politely declined because he was committed to the Dune franchise. Now he is working on Dune 3 currently, so we assume that as soon as Dune 3 is done, which is due to be released next year, he will then jump straight onto Bond 26. Overall, I'm very happy with this choice because for me, it is a director that I had heard of, and he is probably sort of the most prolific director since Sam Mendes. Sam Mendes, he had quite a few sort of well-known films under his name, and so is Denis Villeneuve. And so yeah, what he will bring, who knows? I mean, obviously, he's got an idea. Several directors have come up to Amazon. They've got an idea. They've pitched it. Amazon have probably obviously favoured Denis Villeneuve's kind of version. So yeah, that's all pretty well and good. I've said for a long time that people, the general public, are kind of losing the shit on who the next Bond should be. No, that's least of the worries. What you need to be doing is casting the director. So it has been confirmed now. Once the director's in place, they will then get a story, and then it'll then go to the casting of Bond. Now, for now, I kind of mentioned this a while back that I think they are looking at Bond 26 as just being a one-off. Amy Pascal and David Heyman, they're only sort of committed to Bond 26. There's no mention of them doing future films. Denis Villeneuve, he's only doing this one. If this is a success, they may continue to do others. But I kind of feel that for now, this is pretty much testing the water. They're going to cast an actor. Now, whether or not this actor is going to just be a contractor for one film, or he's going to be contractor for three, I don't know. But they're going to basically just sort of, I think test the waters and just see how, kind of how it goes. So yeah, in terms of Bond 26, I think the choice in director, I'm pretty happy with. There's a few people out there who ain't so happy, but at the end of the day, you're not going to please anybody. The thing with Denis Villeneuve is I like his films, I like his style. The Dune films, they've got kind of a pretty cool sort of style about them. He's also done Sciarro, which I think Roger Deakins had done the cinematography. Now, Roger Deakins, of course, did the cinematography on Skyfall, which, so, he is 78. If he does come back to do Bond 26, I'll be happy for that. So yeah, it is, and I've actually saw one of his films the other day called Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal, and his worked with Jake Gyllenhaal a few times. So he might get Jake Gyllenhaal cast as Felix. Who knows? Pure speculation. So yes, I think with Denis Villeneuve as director, I'm pretty happy with that. And as I say, it's also is a Bond fan as well, which is somewhat very, very comforting, because if you're to direct a Bond film, you need to be a fan of the franchise. You need to be the fan of the films. You need to know its legacy. You need to know what it's all about. You need to understand the films. So yeah, I'm pretty certain that he will do it. Now, going back in the past 20 years, I mean, the Bond films haven't really been known for big name directors. I think, personally, I think Sam Mendes was probably the only biggest name director that you probably have had within its history. I mean, Mendes was a theatre director, but he did quite a few films, very well known films. He did American Beauty, Road to Perdition, Revolutionary Road, Jarhead. He's done, quite a few films which are very well known. But I mean, obviously, in the past 20 years with Martin Campbell, well, we only really knew who Martin Campbell was because of GoldenEye. And I think probably before GoldenEye, he was probably really known for his Edge of Darkness TV series, which was in the late 60s, late 1980s, sorry. So, and then after that, we had Mark Forster, who, quite frankly, I had never even heard of. And he actually kind of said that he wasn't really a Bond fan, so I'm kind of thinking, well, why the fuck are you directing this film? Even though Quantum of Solace has gone up massively in my sort of scale, if you like, there's still kind of, he's more of an independent film director, he's very artistic. That Quantum of Solace is probably the most artistic Bond film there is. I mean, there is some brilliant shots in there, don't get me wrong, but the fact that he's not a Bond fan, I kind of feel he never really understand what a Bond film should be about, and instead he had this weird obsession in bringing fire, earth and air into the script. He wanted these elements, and he wanted the story to revolve around this. The scary thing is he also worked on the scripts as well with Daniel Craig during the writer's strike. So yeah, Quantum of Solace, it could have been much better. The original director for that was Roger Mitchell, who has now sadly passed away, and that would have been a totally different film, because, and I think Roger Mitchell would have been on the Daniel Craig recommendation, because Craig had worked with him previously on other films, which have all been very good films, but I don't know if he's ever done action films. So for him to have done a Bond film, it's, probably, I don't know, might be an interesting one. And then obviously, you have Sam Mendes, who gave us Skyfall, and then gave us Spectre. And then you had Kerry Jojo Fukunaga, who, when he was announced, I'd never even heard of. Yes, he said he was a Bond fan. He said it was A View to a Kill was his kind of go-to Bond movie. But there's just something, they did interviews with him, and he basically, word for word, copied what Guy Hamilton had said in a documentary regarding about these white dots going across the screen, and you're in for a ride. Well, that's not Carrey's true words. That is exactly what Guy Hamilton had said. So even though No Time to Die was an absolutely fantastic film and I loved it, the fact that Kerry Fukunaga come along, I'm thinking, well, who the fuck's he? Compared to originally when it was Danny Boyle, which again was a very well-known name. We all knew who he was. And when he was announced as Bond, it was kind of almost had that kind of April Fool's kind of sense about it, because it's like, well, hang on, he is a massive name connected to Bond. But then I suppose Lee Tamahori, I suppose he was kind of a biggish name at the time. He did some, kind of well-known films. And yeah, Die Another Day, was it really that bad? It's just an enjoyable romp. Originally Michael Apted was asked back again to direct Die Another Day, but unfortunately he kind of declined it, which I think is a real shame, because I think what he did with The World Is Not Enough was brilliant. And I think with Die Another Day, there was kind of wanting that more emotional character building, human kind of side of Bond to continue through Die Another Day, which we did get to a degree, but as soon as he got to Iceland, it just went tits up. It just went totally CGI and just went the other way to what we was, well, to what the film was taking us. So yeah, anyway, that's a bit of a tangent on directors, but no, Denis Villeneuve, I'm pretty happy with it. But it's, I think realistically you're probably going to look at 2027 by the time we get Bond 26, and I think that's a pretty good marketing gimmick, because 2027 you can have the 7 at the end, and obviously you can do all sorts with that, i.e. the the gun motif. So yeah, Denis Villeneuve is James Bond, is directing Bond 26. So what else has happened in the world of Bond? Sadly, we have lost a few people. Michael Madsen, he passed away last week, which was a bit of a shock, and he wasn't really that old either. And Michael Madsen, yeah, of course, he played Damien Falco in Die Another Day. He was originally signed to appear in 3 films, but obviously it kind of never followed through. So yeah, that is a great loss, because he was a fantastic actor, and again, he did some brilliant films. He worked alongside Quentin Tarantino. So yeah, he really sad on that one. And then Jodon Baker, we lost him a few months ago, and of course he played Brad Whittaker and Jack Wade. So yeah, but the thing is, I kind of feel that, I mean, Jodon Baker, he was 89. If you were in your late 80s and if you're in your 90s, then it is sad, but it's to be expected. At the end of the day, it's a good age. Nobody lives forever. Obviously, with Michael Madsen, he was only 67, which is kind of, in my eyes, still pretty young. I think when you're in your 70s, I think that's kind of doesn't seem that old. I think probably when you creep up to 80s, you're probably borderline, and then 90s, you're doing very well. So yeah, we've lost Michael Madsen and Jodon Baker. Also, Tuesday, La La Land has announced the expanded and remastered edition of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Now, this is something that I had said for a while, that I feel that we will definitely get that, because that, alongside with License to Kill and Moonraker, was originally touted for 2019. Now, there is a lot of people still kind of losing the shit about whether or not the Amazon takeover will affect La La Land. I don't think it will. I mean, yeah, the releases we've got were obviously agreed. I mean, License to Kill and Moonraker, and Her Majesty's, they were agreed back in 2019. So that was all on the cards for the past 6 years. The Man with the Golden Gun, that kind of came out sort of when Amazon owned MGM. So yeah, I mean, what we've got looking forward to is A View to a Kill, hopefully, and Thunderball, and maybe GoldenEye, possibly Spectre. I don't know about that one. I don't know, but I think definitely them 3, GoldenEye, View to Kill, and Thunderball, I think we may well get. Now you got to remember that it may not. I mean, A View to a Kill, yes, we may get, let's say, in September. Thunderball, we may get in November for the Black Friday sale. I'm just thinking, the Thunderball anniversary actually begins in December, end of December. through to next year. So even if we do have GoldenEye or Thunderball release next year, it's still within that anniversary year. But yeah, I'm pretty hopeful we will get them. So in terms of the Majesty's Secret Service expanded edition, I've counted that there is an additional 14 tracks compared to the 2003 release. Now, some of these tracks, what was on the 2003 release, have basically been, I believe, probably dissected. So, like, all the cues have been split up and put in the correct order. They've been retitled as well. A lot of people are wondering, oh, why is such and such missing, or this is missing? Well, no, it's been renamed. So yeah, that I mean, my wife has pre-ordered that for my birthday, so that is expected to be released at the end of July. To be, yeah. So end of July, beginning of August is when we'll be expecting that, and also the artwork's pretty cool as well. It's yeah. So I'm really happy with that. But I say it was something that I was expecting. It was something that I kind of sort of had a good feeling that I knew would come this year. So yeah, so La La Land, yeah, once again, thank you. So obviously once that comes out, I'll probably do a bit of a talk about that then. So yeah, I think really that's it for this week. It's just a bit of a recap on what's happening. So yeah, we've got basically, a Majesty's Secret Service expanded and remastered from La La Land, and we've got the director for Bond 26 announced. So yeah, all is good. It's got a little bit quiet on 007 First Light. There's, yeah, I mean, obviously that's coming out next year. I suppose, I mean, we've had the trailer. Until that's kind of being released, I should think that that's just going to be sort of, yeah, I mean, as soon as First Light is released, the marketing and the publicity will start building up again, and we might see a few more trailers. We might see adverts and stuff. So yeah, no, that's really cool on that. Now, apparently, with what I've heard, is that 007 Road to a Million Season 2 has been filmed, but it is just sitting in the can, waiting for Amazon to release it. When this will be released, I don't know. It might even be October this year, again. But it is ready to go. So, yeah, I kind of feel that, things in the world of Bond are going to start, turning and start, kind of picking things up. So anyway, that's it for now, and I'll be back, probably not next week because I'm busy, but I will be back with, now I think next week I might ask the question to whether or not, was Roger Moore really that cheesy, and was the 1980s a good decade for Bond? That is what I'm going to talk about next week. So stay tuned